Recently, there was a little bit of a dust-up at a rally in Albuquerque, New Mexico for Donald Trump. New Mexico has the word Mexico in the state title, so obviously things were not going to go well for Donald Trump. Now, of course, he claims, wait a minute, what are you talking about? That's not true. He's great with Latinos. In fact, he says it over and over, and we have it for you. Here's what he claims about Latinos and how much they love him.
I will get more Latinos than anybody else.
Oh, I do great with Latino voters.
46% with the Hispanics. 46%. Number one with Hispanics. I love the Mexican people. Well, he said, I don't know. Every viewer that calls in, they all love him. They love him. All Hispanic. They love Trump.
And, you know, the Latinos love Trump, and I love them.
I have thousands of Latinos that work for me right now. I love the spirit of the Mexican people.
I employ so many Latinos.
I love the Hispanic people. I employ thousands of them. I'm going to have thousands of people that work for me standing up saying we love Trump. I love them.
I'm Hispanic and I vote for Mr. Trump. We vote for Mr. Trump. Yes, Mr. Trump. We love you. We love you. All the way to the White House.
Every part of that video was uncomfortable, especially when he starts rubbing her sides. But from what I understand from Donald Trump, not only does he love Hispanics, Hispanics love him. In fact, of course, you remember the famous tweet on Cinco de Mayo when he showed him eating a taco bowl. This is so ridiculous. It hurts the brain to think about it. He said, "Happy Cinco de Mayo. The best taco bowls are made in Trump Tower Grill. I love Hispanics." Dude, the fact that you don't understand that you don't prove how much you love Hispanics by eating tacos might get to the core of the problem. Okay, and he can't help but put in a plug for one of his properties while he's doing it. Anyway, it turns out that maybe not all Latinos love Donald Trump after all, because in Albuquerque, this was the scene outside of his rally.
And I'm just watching this thing. Is this going to die out? It doesn't look like. These are young people.
Yeah.
It's early at night out there compared to where we are. It's not in the middle of the night. And they're horsing around. There's some, I guess you'd call it violence. It's roughhousing right now. Look at this. It's showing off, really. And we'll see.
Now, they say that was violent. And apparently there were some fires and stuff, so I don't want to downplay that. No one should do any of that. And some of them were Latinos, we imagine, because they had the Mexican flag with them. Some of them looked as white as day. Now, there's another video on this. Let's show you that one, to give you full context, and then we'll tell you Donald Trump's reaction.
People possibly hurling rocks, breaking through the barricades, going up against the glass doors of this convention center. I'm standing next to a couple of people who witnessed some of this earlier this evening. I'm just curious, ma'am, you saw, you said you saw a car burning, or you saw some fires being lit out here?
Setting fires out there with the Donald Trump signs.
They were lighting Donald Trump signs on fire.
And dropping them all over the road. He had to put several fires out, stomp on them.
And what happened, sir? You saw this happening and you jumped in to put out the fires?
Yeah, that's what I did. I just jumped in and put them out, and they were screaming obscenities at me and just being obnoxious, and that's about.
Did it feel like things were getting out of control out here for a little while?
Well,
this doesn't happen
crazy,
very much in Albuquerque.
Oh, no, this happens all the time in Albuquerque. Albuquerqueans love to protest.
Okay. But I mean, what was it like when you saw this unfolding?
When we walked out, we were confronted and ambushed by 6 people in masks asking us if we were Donald Trump supporters, and then they proceeded to scream in our face.
And bigots and all kinds of other stuff.
My favorite part of that video was, oh no, this happens all the time in Albuquerque. Okay, so now look, don't do any of this, right? The protest, great. I love the protest. Do the protest. But don't burn anything, don't throw any rocks, don't accost any people. Look, all the times we've criticized Trump supporters for assaulting protesters. Don't do likewise. That's a terrible idea. Then you lose the moral high ground. We know that they're for violence because Donald Trump says it over and over again. Don't play into that same game. Okay, now, look, so he's got some issue to be upset, but what's weird is I thought the Hispanics loved him. So it's weird not to see that kind of love expressed in the streets. Not a lot of people show up with Mexican flags to say, go Donald Trump. Okay, obviously some Latinos in the country do, but not a lot. Now, his reaction could have been, hey, look, we can't have the violence. That's outrageous and unacceptable, and I would have shared that. No, he had to get racial. He couldn't help it, right? I mean, those Mexican flags were like magnets to him. Like, oh, must say something about it. So he tweeted out, the protesters in New Mexico were thugs who were flying the Mexican flag. The rally inside was big and beautiful, but outside, criminals. Okay, now this is about the 18th association of Mexicans with criminals. And now look, Mexican Americans are allowed to fly the Mexican flag. I've seen proud Jewish Americans fly the Israeli flag, and I've seen, British pubs in Santa Monica here in Los Angeles fly the British flag all the time. Now, I get that this is a different context. I'm not trying to excuse what happened here. But at the same time, Trump, who apparently loves Mexicans, can't help but go, Mexicans, thugs and criminals, right? But then he's a child anyway. Inside the rally, when there was a little protest that was not in any way violent, he couldn't help but mock the protester. He said, go home to mommy. And he's told another, how old is this kid? Still wearing diapers? Imagine Ronald Reagan talking about, saying to a protester, go home to mommy, you're still wearing diapers. He's a child. He's a man-child. Okay. Now, again, further context, I'm trying to be as clear as humanly possible here. Police said on Twitter that at least one person was arrested and several officers suffered injuries after being hit by rocks. So to call the people who did that criminals is fine, right? To say that you love Hispanics and Hispanics love you back is not really true. It's a lot of pig Latin if you ask me. Okay, now, among the things that he's done recently to attack Mexicans outside of this, and outside of the Taco Bowl. And of course, the first thing he ever said in his first ever press conference was, these people coming in from Mexico are rapists and criminals. He's back at it now. And then there's his general treatment of Latinos overall when his campaign manager was asked if they would appoint a Latino or other minority or a woman as VP. They said, no, we're not going to do any pandering like that, so we won't be going in that direction. So it's inconceivable that any of those categories could actually have the best VP nominee. Like, no, I mean, we'd only pick a woman or a Latino if we were pandering. Otherwise, of course, they're not qualified. Don't be ridiculous. And then Susana Martinez, the governor of New Mexico, was often mentioned as a VP possibility. But she has said some words that were not super kind to Donald Trump. She didn't want to show up at his rallies. So now he's mad at her, and she's totally disqualified. And he talks about how she can't get the job done. Maybe I should run for a governor of New Mexico. Then I can get it done. So another Latino he's attacked. And then recently, and we're going to have more about this in another story we're going to do later in the hour, but there was a judge who's ruling against him in the Trump University case for very understandable reasons. But here's what Trump had to say about that. We're in front of a very hostile judge. The judge was appointed by Barack Obama, federal judge. Frankly, he should recuse himself because he's given us ruling after ruling after ruling, negative, negative, negative. What happens is the judge, who happens to be, we believe, Mexican, which is great, I think that's fine. Really? Then why did you bring it up? Of course, the judge is American. He was born in Indiana. But if you've got someone with a Latino last name, Mexican, criminals, thugs, Mexicans. Oh, I love the Mexicans. I eat their tacos. I don't know why people keep saying I don't like them. I've got a pretty good idea.